The massive screens in Earth's Global Defense Command Center lit up with dozens of unknown signals. Admiral James Thompson stood from his chair, his eyes fixed on the readings. After 20 years of service, this was the moment humanity had been preparing for. Multiple objects detected beyond Neptune's orbit, sir, reported Lieutenant Wilson from her monitoring station. They're moving in a controlled pattern, definitely not natural objects. The Admiral nodded slowly. Humanity had known this day would come. They had intercepted too many alien communications over the past decades to think they were alone. That knowledge had driven Earth to prepare, to build, to advance. How many ships? Thompson asked, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. 12 large vessels, sir, and one, significantly larger than the others. Wilson's fingers flew across her holographic display. Their energy signatures match nothing in our database. Thompson turned to face the massive window overlooking the lunar surface. The Earth hung in the black sky like a blue jewel. From this command center, built into the dark side of the moon, humanity had spent years watching the stars. Alert Mars Defense Command and the Jupiter outposts, he ordered. But keep our orbital defense platforms dormant. Let's not show all our cards just yet. The room buzzed with controlled activity. Earth in 2150 was not the same planet it had been even 50 years ago. United under the threat of potential alien contact, humanity had pushed the boundaries of technology and exploration. Colonies on Mars housed millions. Mining operations in the asteroid belt fueled Earth's industrial might. Research stations orbited Jupiter and Saturn. Sir, they're sending a transmission, announced Communications Officer Parker. Standard radio waves. They're trying to be obvious about their approach. Thompson allowed himself a small smile. The aliens thought they were making first contact with a primitive species. They had no idea that Earth had been monitoring their communications for years, learning their languages, understanding their technology. Put it on the main screen, Thompson ordered, and alert the United Earth Council. They'll want to see this. The central display flickered to life. A tall, humanoid figure appeared. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and its eyes glowed with an inner light. When it spoke, the words came through in perfect English, thanks to years of preparation and translation work. People of Earth, the alien began. I am Ambassador High Command of the Galactic Empire. We come in peace, bearing greetings from 500 civilized worlds. Thompson exchanged glances with his senior staff. 500 worlds. The Empire was even larger than their intelligence had suggested. We have watched your development with great interest, the ambassador continued. Your species has shown remarkable progress. The time has come for Earth to join the greater galactic community. Respond on the same frequency, Thompson ordered. Keep the video feed one way. Let's maintain some mystery. He stepped forward and spoke clearly. This is Admiral Thompson of the United Earth Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact with the Galactic Empire. The ambassador's expression shifted slightly. Was that surprise at such a quick and professional response? Excellent. We request permission to enter your solar system with our diplomatic fleet to begin integration discussions. Thompson's next words were carefully chosen. We acknowledge your request, Ambassador. However, all visiting vessels must first undergo security protocols at our outer system checkpoints. Standard procedure, I'm sure you understand. There was a pause, longer than light-speed communication lag would explain. The ambassador was clearly thrown off script. I see. The alien finally responded. This is most unusual for a first contact scenario. Perhaps you don't understand. We represent the Galactic Empire. We do not submit to the protocols of non-member worlds. Thompson stood straighter. Then we have nothing further to discuss. Earth's solar system is sovereign space. All visiting vessels must comply with local regulations. No exceptions. The silence that followed was deafening. In that moment, humanity had done something unprecedented. They had said no to the Empire. We will consult with our superiors, the ambassador finally said. its tone notably less friendly. The transmission ended. Thompson turned to his staff, all of whom were watching him intently. Send word to all solar system defense posts. Full alert status, but maintain emissions control. Let's see how the mighty Empire handles being told no for the first time in what I suspect has been a very long time. The pieces were set. Earth had made its first move in a game that would change the galaxy forever. 3 days after the first contact, the Empire's ships still hung at the edge of the solar system like dark stars. Inside the United Earth Council chamber in Geneva, Admiral Thompson watched as representatives from every nation debated their next move. "They've been scanning our system nonstop," he reported to the assembled leaders. "Our stealth satellites have picked up their surveillance attempts." Council President Robert Wells leaned forward in his chair. The old diplomat's face showed the strain of sleepless nights. "And what exactly are they looking for, Admiral?" "Everything." Thompson pulled up a holographic display showing the Empire's scan patterns. Military installations, population centers, resource deposits. They're trying to build a complete picture of our capabilities. The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had prepared for this moment, but now that it was here, the weight of it felt overwhelming. A flash of light interrupted the meeting. The Empire's ambassador appeared on the main screen, not waiting for permission to broadcast. His metallic features seemed harder than before, all pretense of friendliness gone. "People of Earth," the ambassador's voice filled the chamber. "The Empire has reviewed your unusual response to our arrival. We have come to a decision." President Wells stood. "This is a closed session. You were not given permission to." "Permission is not required." The ambassador cut him off. "The Empire does not seek permission from potential protectorates. We are here to deliver our terms." Thompson noticed how the alien emphasized the word protectorates. The Empire's true nature was showing itself now. "Earth has 2 options," the ambassador continued. "Accept immediate integration into the Empire as a protected territory, or face the consequences of defiance. You have 30 standard days to submit your acceptance." "And if we decline?" Thompson asked, his voice steady. The ambassador's glowing eyes fixed on him. "There is no decline. There is only acceptance or consequence. We have observed your world for decades. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, your technological level. The Empire has integrated hundreds of worlds. Some required convincing." The threat hung in the air like a storm cloud. But Thompson saw something the ambassador didn't. Fear. The Empire was used to worlds cowering at their ultimatums. Earth's calm defiance worried them. "You claim to know us," President Wells said, standing taller. "Yet you make demands without understanding. Humanity does not respond well to threats." The ambassador's image flickered slightly. "This is not a threat. It is simply how things are. The Empire maintains order across the galaxy. Through us, primitive worlds advance. Through us, chaos becomes harmony. Through you," Thompson added, "free worlds become slaves." "Freedom is chaos," the ambassador replied. "The Empire brings purpose, structure, achievement. Look at your history: endless wars, environmental disasters, political conflicts. We offer unity." Thompson stepped forward. "We achieved unity on our own. We cleaned our environment, ended our major wars, reached for the stars, all without your help. The Empire didn't guide us. Humanity guided itself." The ambassador's expression shifted to something like pity. "Such pride, such ignorance. You think your achievements are your own. The Empire has guided your development from the shadows for generations. Your quantum theories, hints left in signals you were meant to discover. Your AI breakthroughs, data fragments we allowed you to intercept." The room erupted in murmurs, but Thompson smiled. This was the proof they had suspected but never confirmed. The Empire had been watching, testing, manipulating, but they had missed humanity's greatest achievement, seeing through their game. 30 days, the ambassador repeated. When our fleet returns, we expect your submission. For your own good, do not disappoint us." The transmission ended. President Wells turned to Thompson. "They really don't know, do they?" "No," Thompson replied. "They have no idea that we've built our defenses specifically to counter their technology. Every gift they left us, we studied and improved upon. They think they're our teachers. But they've actually been our test subjects." Wells finished. 30 days, Admiral. Make them count." Thompson nodded, already planning. The Empire thought they had given Earth an ultimatum. In reality, they had just given humanity exactly what it needed: time to prepare. Deep within the Quantum Defense Initiative facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alice Reed watched her life's work come alive. Hundreds of quantum processors hummed in perfect harmony, their crystalline cores glowing with soft blue light. "Status report," Admiral Thompson said as he entered the secure chamber. His footsteps echoed across the vast underground lab. Alice turned from her displays, her eyes bright with excitement. "The quantum shield is ready, Admiral. We've been running final tests since the Empire made their threat. Everything is performing beyond expectations." Thompson walked to the main display, where a holographic model of the solar system showed their defensive network. Tiny points of light marked each quantum relay station, forming an invisible web around Earth and its colonies. "Show me," he ordered. Alice typed a sequence into her console. The hologram zoomed in on Mars, where the largest testing facility was located. "Watch this," she said, pressing a final key. A burst of energy, similar to the Empire's weapons, shot toward the red planet. Just before impact, the space around Mars shimmed like heat waves over hot pavement. The energy blast simply vanished. "That's impossible," Thompson whispered, though he'd seen it before. "Their sensors will say the same thing." Alice smiled. "That's the beauty of it. We didn't just develop shields. We created something that breaks the laws of physics as the Empire understands them. They've been feeding us bits of their science for decades, thinking they were guiding our development. But they never imagined we'd take those pieces and build something entirely new." The Admiral nodded slowly. "What about the Mars defense grid?" "Even better." Alice brought up a new display. "Commander Mitchell, are you ready for the demonstration?" "Ready when you are, Doc." Robert Mitchell's voice came through clearly from his command post on Mars. The display showed a cluster of decommissioned satellites positioned 6 million kilometers from Mars. These had been arranged to match the energy signatures of Imperial ships. "Firing sequence initiated," Mitchell reported. What happened next still amazed Thompson, even though he'd seen it in tests before. The space around Mars rippled. There was no beam, no projectile, no visible weapon. The target satellites simply broke apart, their atoms pulled in different directions by forces the Empire had never mastered. "Beautiful," Alice whispered. "The quantum disassembly field is working perfectly. No heat signature, no energy beam, nothing they can detect or block." Thompson studied the readouts. "And our AI defense system. That's the best part." Alice led him to another section of the facility, where walls of neural processors created the most advanced artificial intelligence humanity had ever built. "We called it the Guardian. It processes combat scenarios faster than light itself, using quantum entanglement principles we reversed engineered from the Empire's leaked data." The Guardian's main interface glowed to life. Unlike the Empire's rigid, hierarchical control systems, this AI thought creatively, adapted instantly, and learned from every simulation. "We've run 10 million combat scenarios," Alice explained. "The Guardian has developed strategies the Empire can't predict because they don't think like us. They rely on overwhelming force and ancient protocols. We built something that thinks in quantum possibilities." Thompson watched the AI run another simulation, defeating an Imperial fleet 3 times its size through tactics that seemed like chaos at first glance, but were actually perfectly calculated moves. 25 days, he said quietly. "That's how long we have until they return." Alice's expression grew serious. We'll be ready. The quantum shield generators are already being distributed throughout the solar system. The Mars defense grid can protect everything from Earth to Jupiter. And the Guardian? She paused, looking at the eye's swirling display. It's already planning our victory. The Empire thinks they're coming to discipline an upstart primitive world, Thompson said, watching another simulation play out. They don't realize they're walking into a trap decades in the making. That's the advantage of being underestimated, Alice replied. They see what they expect to see. A young species playing with toys we barely understand. They don't realize we've built something they can't even comprehend. Thompson turned to leave, then paused. Dr. Reed, when the Empire returns, they'll be bringing their main fleet. Are you absolutely certain we're ready? Alice's answer was immediate. Admiral, we've been ready for years. We just needed them to make the first move. As Thompson headed back to the surface, he couldn't help but smile. The Empire thought they had given Earth an ultimatum. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed. A reason to reveal just how far they had really come. The Imperial fleet arrived exactly as they promised, emerging from faster-than-light travel near Jupiter's orbit. 50 warships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built, formed a battle line that stretched across thousands of kilometers of space. From his command post on the lunar base, Admiral Thompson watched the tactical display with calm focus. Right on schedule, he said. And just as arrogant as we expected. The Empire's ships moved in a rigid formation, their energy signatures blazing like small suns on the sensors. They weren't trying to hide. This was meant to be a show of force. Incoming transmission, Lieutenant Wilson reported. Same channel as before. The familiar face of the ambassador appeared on screen, but this time he wore ceremonial armor that gleamed with an inner light. This is your final warning, he announced. Our fleet stands ready to enforce Imperial will. Submit or face the consequences. Thompson didn't respond immediately. Instead, he opened a secure channel to Mars Command. Commander Mitchell, is the Guardian ready? Ready and eager, sir, Mitchell replied. The AI has already analyzed their formation. It's exactly what we predicted. They're using battle tactics that haven't changed in centuries. Thompson turned back to the Imperial transmission. Ambassador, we see your fleet. An impressive display. But I notice you're keeping your distance from our outer defense perimeter. The ambassador's expression hardened. We are giving you one final chance to surrender peacefully. Do not mistake our mercy for weakness. No mistake possible, Thompson replied calmly. We simply find it interesting that such a powerful fleet seems hesitant to approach our humble solar system. The taunt worked. The ambassador's metallic features twisted in anger. You dare mock the Imperial fleet? Very well. Let us demonstrate why the Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. The transmission cut off. On the tactical display, the Imperial fleet began to move forward, their formation shifting into an attack pattern. Here they come, Thompson announced on the Secure Earth channel. All units, execute Operation Lighthouse. Let's show them how humanity fights. The first Imperial shots were meant to be devastating. Beams of energy powerful enough to crack a planet's crust lanced out toward Earth's orbital defenses. But when they hit the quantum shield, something unprecedented happened. The energy simply vanished. On the tactical display, Thompson could almost see the confusion in how the Imperial ships suddenly hesitated. Their sensors would be telling them something impossible. Their weapons hadn't been blocked or deflected. The energy had ceased to exist. Guardian AI reports their ships are adjusting weapons frequencies, Mitchell reported from Mars. They think it's a normal shield they can overcome with enough power. Thompson allowed himself a small smile. Let them try. Dr. Reed's quantum shield doesn't care how much energy they throw at it. You can't overpower something that simply makes energy cease to exist. The Imperial fleet's next attack was even larger. Every ship fired at once, creating a web of destructive energy that would have annihilated everything in its path. Once again, The quantum shield absorbed it all without strain. "They're moving closer," Wilson reported, "trying to overwhelm the shield at point-blank range." "Perfect," Thompson said. "Commander Mitchell, they're entering optimal range for the Mars defense grid. The Guardian has control." "Affirmative," Mitchell replied. "Target solutions locked." Thompson took a deep breath. This next moment would change everything. Execute. The space around Mars rippled. There was no beam, no projectile, nothing visible at all. But 5 Imperial ships simply came apart, their atomic bonds severed by forces their sensors couldn't even detect. The Imperial fleet's rigid formation suddenly broke. Ships scattered in confusion, their commanders facing something completely outside their experience. "Sir," Wilson called out, "the ambassador is transmitting again. He sounds different." The ambassador's face appeared on screen, his previous arrogance replaced by barely controlled fear. What is this weapon? This is impossible. Our sensors show no energy signature, no projectiles. This is humanity's response to your ultimatum." Thompson replied calmly, "You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet from our solar system. After that, we will consider any remaining Imperial ships to be hostile targets." The ambassador's image vanished without reply. On the tactical display, the Imperial fleet was already beginning to retreat, their perfect formation forgotten in their haste to escape. "Send word to all commands," Thompson ordered. "Phase 1 is complete. Prepare for their real attack. The Empire won't take this humiliation lightly." He watched the Imperial ships flee, knowing this was just the beginning. But humanity had done something unprecedented. They had struck fear into the heart of an empire that had known only victory for 10,000 years. 2 weeks after humanity's first victory, Admiral Thompson stood before the United Earth Council with a bold plan. The massive chamber was silent as he activated the holographic display showing hundreds of Imperial worlds. "The Empire is gathering their main fleet," he announced. "Our deep space sensors show they're pulling ships from every sector. They're preparing for an all-out assault on Earth." President Wells leaned forward. "How many ships?" "Over 1,000, Thompson replied. "More than we've ever seen them use. But that's exactly what we were hoping for." Confused murmurs filled the chamber. Thompson nodded to Dr. Reed, who stepped forward to explain. "The Empire's response is predictable," she said. "They only know one way to solve problems, with overwhelming force. But they've given us an incredible opportunity. They've left their core worlds almost defenseless." Thompson pressed a button, and a hologram zoomed in on the Empire's capital system. "This is Operation Lighthouse. While they gather their fleet to attack us, we strike at their heart." "With what?" someone asked. "We can't match their numbers." "We don't need to," Thompson smiled. "Commander Mitchell, show them." The main screen lit up, showing a sleek ship unlike anything Earth had built before. Its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it hard to focus on. "The Guardian," Mitchell's voice came through. "Our first AI-controlled stealth battleship. We've built 10 of them. Each one carries a quantum drive and is operated entirely by an extension of our defense A." Dr. Reed took over the explanation. "These ships are invisible to Imperial sensors. They can't be tracked, targeted, or detected. The quantum drive lets them move faster than the Empire thought possible. And each one carries our most advanced weapons." Thompson zoomed out the map again. "While their main fleet heads to Earth, our Guardian ships will strike at their core worlds. Not to destroy them, but to show every species in the Empire that their rulers aren't invincible." The plan was audacious, risky. But the council members began nodding as they understood the strategy. 12 hours later, Operation Lighthouse began. The first Guardian ship appeared in the Empire's capital system without warning. Imperial sensors didn't detect it until it was already moving through their defense grid. The ship's quantum weapons disabled the orbital platforms protecting the Imperial Palace before they could even react. Then came the broadcast. On every screen, every communication device in the Empire's capital, Earth's message played. To all species of the Empire, watch carefully. Your masters are not as powerful as they claim. The Guardian ship's weapons fired with surgical precision. Government buildings lost power. Military bases went dark, but not a single life was lost. This wasn't an attack, it was a demonstration. Similar scenes play out across the Empire's territory. Guardian ships appeared at major Imperial strongholds, disabled their defenses, and vanished before anyone could respond. Each time, the same message played. In the Lunar Command Center, Thompson watched the operation unfold. The Guardian AI coordinated all 10 ships perfectly, striking targets across thousands of light years in a complex dance of precision and timing. Report from the Capital System, Wilson announced. The Imperial Palace's defensive grid is completely offline. Their entire government is in chaos. And, she paused, a smile forming. We're getting signals from at least 30 different species asking how we did it. Dr. Reed checked her readings. The quantum drives are performing perfectly. The Empire can't track our ships even when they know where to look. Their sensors simply can't detect the technology we've developed. Message from Commander Mitchell's Guardian ship, Wilson called out. Target list Alpha is complete. All primary Imperial defense systems have been neutralized. No casualties reported. Thompson nodded with satisfaction. Send the final message. Across the Empire's territory, on every planet they had just struck, a new broadcast began. This was not an act of war. This was a demonstration of choice. The Empire told you they were invincible. They were wrong. Earth does not seek to conquer or rule. We seek only to remain free, and to show others that freedom is possible. In the following hours, reports flooded in. Rebellions were breaking out on dozens of worlds. Species that had been subjugated for centuries were rising up, inspired by Earth's display of power used with restraint. Sir, Wilson reported, the Empire's main fleet has stopped advancing. They're breaking formation. Multiple ships are turning back. Of course they are, Thompson replied. They just realized they're no longer fighting a single rebellious world. They're facing the end of their entire empire. The counterstrike had worked better than they'd hoped. Earth hadn't just defended itself, it had shattered the Empire's image of invincibility forever. The Imperial Palace's Grand Meeting Hall had never seen anything like this. Where once the Empire's representatives had delivered commands, now they sat in silence as Admiral Thompson walked to the center of the chamber. Representatives from over 50 alien species watched, their eyes fixed on the first human to ever enter this sacred space. Your empire is falling, Thompson said simply. Not because we destroyed it, but because you built it on fear. And we've shown the galaxy that fear is no longer enough. The Imperial High Commander rose from his throne, his metallic skin dulled with stress. You've started a war you cannot win, human. Even now, our loyal worlds are choosing freedom. Thompson interrupted, activating a holographic display. Live feeds showed peaceful rebellions spreading across Imperial space. In the past week, 30 systems have declared independence. Another 50 are in negotiations with Earth for support. Dr. Reed stepped forward, her data pad showing the Empire's crumbling defense network. Your control systems are failing. The quantum virus we planted during Operation Lighthouse has given every subjugated world access to their own defense grids. You no longer control their weapons, their ships, or their futures. The chamber erupted in noise as representatives from various species began standing, declaring their world's independence. Each announcement was like another crack in the Empire's foundation. In orbit above the capital planet, Commander Mitchell watched from his Guardian ship as the rebellion spread. The ship's AI interface glowed as it processed real-time data from across the galaxy. Another sector breaking away, he reported to Lunar Command. The Centauri cluster just declared independence. Their defense fleet is already removing Imperial control codes. Back in the palace chamber, Thompson faced the Imperial leadership directly. You have two choices: accept the new reality, or watch your empire dissolve completely. Earth is willing to help build something new. An alliance of free worlds where every species has a voice. And if we refuse, the High Commander demanded. Thompson's reply was calm but firm. Then you'll face not just Earth, but every world that's tired of living under your boot. Our quantum technology has already been shared with 17 resistance movements. Their ships can now match yours. Their weapons can pierce your defenses. Dr. Reed added, and our AI systems have decoded your entire military network. We know every ship's location, every base's weakness, every supply line's vulnerability. The Imperial ambassador, who had first delivered the Empire's ultimatum to Earth, stood slowly. His arrogance was gone, replaced by understanding. You never needed the quantum shields or the weapons, did you? Your real weapon was hope. You showed the galaxy that the Empire could be defied. Hope, Thompson nodded, and preparation. While you thought you were guiding our development, we were learning everything about you. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears. Earth spent decades preparing not just to resist you, but to break your hold on every species you've enslaved. A new signal lit up the chamber's communications array. Across Imperial space, more declarations of independence were flooding in. The Empire's grip was failing faster than anyone had predicted. Sir, Mitchell's voice came through Thompson's secure link. The Imperial fleet is standing down. Multiple ship captains are declaring loyalty to their homeworlds instead of the Empire. The chain of command is collapsing. The High Commander slumped in his throne, finally accepting reality. What are your terms? Thompson activated a new hologram, showing a structure for a new galactic alliance. Equal representation for all worlds. Free trade, shared defense, and a council where every species has an equal vote. Earth will help establish the framework, but we won't control it. That's the difference between us. We don't want an empire. As the terms were displayed, representatives from former imperial worlds began adding their own suggestions. For the first time in 10,000 years, different species were speaking freely in the imperial palace, planning a future where cooperation replaced control. Message from Earth Council. Dr. Reed whispered to Thompson. The first wave of independent worlds has already signed the new alliance charter. They're calling it the Free Systems Coalition. Thompson looked around the chamber, watching former enemies become allies, seeing fear turn to hope. The Empire had wanted Earth to submit to their power. Instead, Earth had shown the galaxy a new way forward, one built on freedom, cooperation, and the indomitable human spirit. The diplomatic revolution was complete, not with weapons or warfare, but with the most powerful force in the universe, the desire to be free. 1 year after Earth's first contact with the Empire, Admiral Thompson stood at the observation deck of humanity's new space station. The massive structure orbited at Earth's L1 point, serving as the headquarters for the Free Systems Coalition. Below him, Earth shone like a blue jewel in space, while representatives from over 200 formerly imperial worlds moved through the station's corridors. Final report from the Transition Committee, Dr. Reed said, joining him at the window. The last imperial holdout worlds have joined the coalition. The Empire is officially dissolved. Thompson nodded, watching as ships from dozens of alien species moved peacefully through the solar system. Hard to believe it's only been a year. How's the technology sharing program going? Better than expected, she replied, pulling up data on her tablet. 30 worlds have successfully implemented quantum shield technology. The Guardian AI is helping coordinate peaceful space traffic across the entire coalition. And she smiled. 3 different species have already improved on our original designs. Commander Mitchell's voice came through the station's comm system. Admiral, you're needed in the main chamber. The first Coalition Council meeting is about to begin. The main chamber was a marvel of engineering, with seats for representatives from every member world arranged in circles around a central platform. As Thompson entered, he saw faces and forms from across the galaxy. Some humanoid, others completely alien, all of them free. President Wells stood at the center, preparing to address the first official gathering of the Free Systems Coalition. 1 year ago, he began, Earth faced what seemed like an impossible choice: submit to imperial rule or face destruction. Today, we gather not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. The chamber filled with appreciative sounds from hundreds of different species. Thompson took his seat as Wells continued. The Empire believed that peace could only come through force. That order required control. Earth showed a different way. Our quantum technology and AI systems could have been used to build our own empire. Instead, we used them to break the chains of oppression. Dr. Reed's datapad lit up with new information. "Sir," she whispered to Thompson, "we're getting reports from the Outer Rim. The quantum communication network is fully operational. For the first time, every coalition world can communicate instantly, regardless of distance." Wells gestured to the star map floating above the chamber. The Free Systems Coalition now spans 3 spiral arms of our galaxy. Trade routes that once served imperial conquests now carry cooperation and cultural exchange. Defense networks that once enforced submission now protect freedom. Thompson watched as the map highlighted the new trade routes and defense stations. The Empire's rigid lines of control had been replaced by an organic network of cooperation. Worlds that had been enemies under imperial rule were now trading partners. Earth's solar system will serve as a neutral meeting ground, Wells announced. But we are not your leaders. Each world in the coalition has an equal voice. Together, we will face whatever challenges the galaxy presents. As if on cue, the station's long-range sensors detected something new. Commander Mitchell rushed to Thompson's side. "Sir, we're picking up signals from beyond Coalition space. It seems there are other civilizations out there, watching what we've done." Thompson smiled. "Then let them watch. Let them see what happens when freedom replaces fear, when cooperation defeats control." The council session continued, with representatives from former imperial worlds taking turns to speak. They discussed trade agreements, cultural exchanges, shared defense protocols. All the things the Empire had controlled were now being decided by free peoples. Dr. Reed's final report showed the full scope of the change. Imperial warships were being converted to exploration vessels. Weapons platforms were becoming research stations. The galaxy was transforming. "Message from the Guardian AI network," Mitchell reported. "All defense systems are synchronized. The Coalition's quantum shield grid is operational. Our combined space is now the most secure region in known space." As the session ended, Thompson took one last look at Earth through the station's windows. The planet that had once faced imperial threats alone now stood as a beacon of freedom for hundreds of worlds. "Not bad," Dr. Reed said, joining him. "When they came to conquer us, who would have thought we'd end up here?" "That's the thing about humanity," Thompson replied, watching ships from a dozen worlds pass peacefully by. "We don't just survive threats. We turn them into opportunities." The Empire wanted to add one more world to their collection. Instead, Reed finished, they gave us the whole galaxy. The observation deck fell silent as they watched the sun rise over Earth's horizon, casting its light on a free and united galaxy. A new dawn for all species.